Cheers.
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 Get over here. There we go.
Yeah.
You don't know how to cheers properly.
All right. Welcome
just
to
a 3-glass toaster there.
welcome to our first episode of Photography After Hours. We are here, and I'd like to introduce our moderation crew. We have Scott Alak, we have Sprague Limbog,
Hi, everybody.
Susie Taylor, and my name is Nicholas Papagallo. We're here and we're sponsored by PAC, the Photographers Adventure Club, and they are a community of photographers that do a lot of different things. We'll tell you more about them in the bumper that's right before this. So we're going to start off, and our first topic of discussion is, are pro DSLRs staying current with the times? So we're going to jump over to Susie, who just bought a brand new DSLR, and tell us a little bit about what you think about this topic.
I am a little bit disappointed in where the current leading manufacturers are, or should I say the bigger, better known brands are in terms of all the bells and whistles for DSLRs today. A lot of the consumer level cameras that are coming out have a lot more feature functionality than the pro cameras, and I have a few ideas as to why, but it still doesn't make me feel better about my purchase. I recently got a 70D, and we can talk a little bit more about that, but I wanted to hear what you guys thought about the topic as well.
Sure. So Scott, you shoot a 5D right now. How do you feel about this topic? And with all the new features coming out, the new iPhone came out this past week, Olympus, Fuji, all these cameras, these Micro Four Thirds are coming out with all these gadgety cool cameras. What do you think about, how does your 5D match up to something that's brand new and out there that just came out?
Well, all these big manufacturers are shooting themselves in the foot. I mean, they really are. They've got this planned obsolescence built into their business plan of some sorts. So they try to come out with a camera, and then 1 year later, that camera is pretty much obsolete because it's replaced with a bigger, better model, right? These other manufacturers, like the cell phones, the iPhones, that just came out with all the new feature functionality of the video and just amazing technology built into these smartphones, and Android is right there with them.
Oh yeah.
If they don't get on board pretty soon, they're gonna be hurting. Straight up, they're gonna be hurting.
So Sprague, you had done some research on like the phones, the Nokia, the iPhone, stuff like that. What was your feeling? You were telling me a little bit about it before this with the software. You think it's a lot of software that can be upgraded and easily upgraded. It's not our hardware that's failing. It's mostly the software.
Well, it seems like it. I think that for professional photographers, they're more interested in the image quality than the gadgetry. And I think a lot of consumer cameras are probably built for people who like to push buttons and maybe are less concerned about image quality. And I think particularly for the younger generation, they're kind of anticipating that they can get technology to make basically all the decisions if they program enough into the camera.
I like to push buttons, though, by the way. Pushing buttons, that's what's so fun.
It doesn't make him a bad person. But at any rate...
I like pushing buttons too.
Yeah.
Yes, he does.
Yeah, I think that probably for a professional photographer, that basically you kind of get down to using a few basic functions. And I think a lot of the base technology that goes in is probably not necessary. And I recently worked with a travel photographer over a 2-week span, and his counsel to us was to the effect that you're not going to use 90% of what's in your camera, that you've got to learn how to focus it. You know, you've got to be able to make decisions about proper shutter and aperture and ISO, and then you have to get a compelling image. And if you spend all of your time in there fiddling, trying to get it to do it for you, it's just not going to happen.
I agree with that. That being said, though, there's a lot of cool different features that I maybe want. I had borrowed a friend of mine, Alex's camera. It was an Olympus camera on a hike because I didn't have the weight limit to be able to carry that much gear to bring my 5Ds and all the lenses and everything. So I borrowed this camera. It's smaller than the Pentax on the table there, and I was able to do time lapses and build the video right in the camera. And I thought that was really cool because my big thing about time lapse is I don't like editing. I don't like being stuck behind a computer like Susie does, editing hours and hours and not getting any sleep. I like to just have it done. So to have some of these cooler features, maybe you don't use them all the time, but to have them in there, I thought was essential to like, wow, I just hit that, it time lapsed it, and everything, the intervalometer was built in, and it made the video and spit it out. All I had to do was download it and add music.
Well, it definitely does reduce a lot of equipment that you carry in your bag. I mean, you get rid of the intervalometer, you get rid of all the other little gadgets that make the device work the way it should work in camera. And so, yeah, the point, why aren't they not just including these in pro? If it's a pro model, it should have these included.
I agree. I think that I see where you're coming from, Sprague, as far as that the pros, the core features are really, you know, you should be using the your basic fundamentals to get your image captured, etc. But I'm coming at it from a little bit more creative perspective too. So while I want to get it dialed in and get my exposure right and things like that, I want to go a little bit beyond that with focus stacking or with bracketing that's more than 3 frames. And unfortunately, when I went from a 40D to a 7D, and I prefer crop sensor. So I went to a 7D, and it still didn't have the bracketing range that I was looking for. Recently, I got a 70D, which is a step back to the line of the 40Ds. The bracketing is there, but then they took away some of the features that I expected to still be there. They put in the dials as the consumer brand dials, and they took away 2 of the creative setting steps. They took away the port for my shutter release. So now none of my shutter releases work with this particular body.
Well, are they just doing this to save money? Are they? What's the reasoning for this? Are they just trying to give you more value, you know, more bang for your buck by, you know, giving you the bells and whistles but taking away some of the things? It's kind of like a fine balance to try to save money but give you more feature and functionality, or what's really the thing? Or maybe they don't want their consumer cameras to rival their pro cameras, because if that were the case, then nobody would buy the pro cameras. Or they trying to segregate out the different markets.
Yeah.
And so
I'm curious how they might view the different market segmentation, and I'm sure they're looking at, okay, well, this group of users needs these functions and this group of users needs these functions. But what I don't understand is their assumption that for their pro line that we wouldn't also want more of those, you know, bells and whistles that are making it into everything, not just cell phones and point and shoots that are already doing a lot of in-camera post-processing, but like Micro Four Thirds market and things that are slanted more toward interchangeable lenses, Canon and Nikon just don't seem to be keeping up.
Well, you had looked up the Nokia. Doesn't that shoots how many megapixels? So you're talking about quality. I don't think quality is a problem anymore. Once we got past that 8 megapixel barrier, we can blow stuff up a lot. So what's that Nokia you were talking about?
Well, the Nokia phone will take at 42 megapixels basically, which is quite a bit. And additionally, you can get in and you can tweak functions to improve the quality of your picture and
that's
camera.
A phone, right?
Well, yeah, but what you lose now, an iPhone can take a number of frames per second, but with a Nokia phone, you're looking at probably 2 frames, you know, every 10 seconds or so, because it takes a while to set up the camera and to get it into the camera and process, because 42 megapixels is a lot for a phone.
that's too much, to be honest,
It makes actually a huge file size, and then what about the quality?
And the quality suffers because, you know, they don't have the image sensors to be able to really capture the dynamic range within those 40
They don't have large enough pixels. It's not
right,
pixel,
the pixels
but
are
it's
not big enough. But the other thing is also,
sites,
you know,
photo sites.
A lot of these cameras and camera manufacturers, they're pushing, it's kind of like they're shying away from their still technology and they're pushing their video technology. But what we're seeing is these cell phones have better video technology than a pro DSLR does.
Oh yeah, the iPhone 6 has a 240 frames per second slow-mo feature,
which is crazy. I mean, that's crazy.
An iPhone. It just came out. It's this big.
It's
$200.
a phone. It's a phone that'll do slow motion videography.
Honestly,
I can't do that with a $2,000 camera.
I would literally just go out with my iPhone and and leave the DSLR in the car if that was the case. Seriously, that is a crazy. That is cinema quality.
And in the when they say that adage, right, the best camera is the one that you have with you, we always have our phone with us. So I end up shooting a bunch of things on my phone because
that's what they're banking on.
As long as the best camera you have with you is a good camera, because otherwise, you know, come home with junk.
Right.
I mean, you might as well
The
just watch it
iPhone,
and have
you
fun.
know, I had a Droid, which was a great device, and then I switched over at iPhone 4 because I just moved over to all other iDevices, and we're not biased on any different devices, but the iPhone picture quality, from my experience, has been really good since the iPhone 4. The 5 got a little bit better. I have a 5S now. The 6 is supposed to be blown away, and I'm like, how can it get any better? It's pretty darn good. And you have a Droid, and you have...
I have a Droid, and I love my
the phone,
the
picture
Galaxy
quality.
S.
Have you
4 or
printed
5.
anything from? I don't print anything from my phone. Usually, it's for social media.
It's
It's Instagram. It's
I'll
Facebook.
be honest,
It's that kind of
if
stuff.
I shoot
but
anything for print, I will shoot with my professional camera. I would certainly never use my phone to shoot wedding work or anything like
Yeah.
that.
Wait, we have
Although I
that?
have seen
Some-
people do that.
Some people are printing
I have seen people
from
do
their
that.
iPhone. They're getting. I've seen a few posts where people have printed sizable images from their cell phone
Well,
photos.
let me give you a little bit of perspective on that.
And they're
it's
clear,
an 8 megapixel
so-
camera. My 20D when I bought was an 8 megapixel camera, and that was a pro camera. So the iPhone generation right now is, even though it's a smaller sensor, is still 8 megapixels. So you should be able to print it at least at certain sizes. I don't know the specs on that. We're not, getting into the gearhead side of that.
I just
but
haven't.
it's still
yeah,
big
I haven't
enough
seen
to.
how clear it really is.
Well, when we went to Havasu, we were hiking 10 miles with DSLRs, in our backpack, and I don't even think I pulled it out once. I was filming everything with my cell phone.
Yeah.
And I didn't pull it out once.
While you were hiking.
While I
right?
was
Yeah,
hiking.
Which time? The time
Well,
with
and
the...
partly-
Yeah, when we were caught in the flood, yeah.
Yeah, partly you don't want to fall while you're hiking through the floodwaters with your DSLR. You're willing to risk your smartphone.
It's insured.
Yeah.
Yeah, when there's a new model coming up, you might as well
But the
drop
thing
it.
is, that my cell phone records the same 1080p high resolution image quality that my DSLR.
But it also, the Nokia that has Wi-Fi, and you can go boom and send it
And
up to
send it right out,
and
right.
get on the news. But my 5D does not. So on the way back from our trip there, John Moray was on his 6D uploading pictures to Facebook the entire ride back, while I'm sitting there with a 5D that's $3,500 going, I can't do anything.
I know, it's kind of emasculating feeling where you're like, you can't do
Like,
that.
I have this big fancy
I have this
camera.
big
Well, the thing is,
camera and it doesn't work.
The professional cameras are sort of in a bit of a denial mode for the way most people look at pictures now, because they don't look at big blown up prints, and most of it is on a laptop or a cell phone. And at this point, we're able to produce images of much higher quality than people are able to actually view them at, and which kind of brings into the subject going in and fixing things in Photoshop and the like, because where I work, a lot of people are shooting with the Samsung Galaxy cameras, and I'm looking at the pictures that they're pulling up on those cell phones, and it looks better than what I can shoot with my DSLR, as long as you're looking at it like that,
Right,
or
as
on
long
something
as
the size of
it's
an
72
iPad.
DPI and
But-
it's that big. then
But
it looks
it's
fantastic.
sharp, the gradations of color are better, because an iPhone essentially shoots at about f/18, so you're going to have a lot sharper photo with an iPhone. The problem is that you can't build any bokeh in.
Well, on my notes here, the new iPhone 6 shoots at f2.2. You can, and it's all manual. So you can manually adjust everything that our DSLRs are actually able to adjust: your aperture, your shutter, your focus, everything, manual focus. So that's kind of out the window now with the generation before.
It is,
of
but
the
it's
droids.
not. It is, but it's not. A 2.2, that's great, but a 2.2 is not the same 2.2 on a DSLR, and it's not going to have the same look. But it's still.
It's got to be better than f/16.
No,
but-
it's still an amazing feature to have in a phone, but it's still not. The look is not quite the same. But
So other things that they've dumped into this, and again, I think this is all software. So this is stuff that our camera manufacturers can put into these awesome cameras we have. Focus pixels for faster autofocus. So it's able to generate a quicker focus for you, which Canon, I shoot Canon. We have people in the group that shoot Nikon and Olympus and Fuji, but Canon kind of lacks in their, Sony, but it lacks in their focus. I went to go shoot the zombie walk. I could not focus on anything. I ended up having to put my flash on to be able to use the beam to actually focus, because I could not get a focus lock at all.
Some people would argue that Canon has better low light focus sensitivity than Nikon, but
then they're wrong.
They
are entirely wrong, because I have a Canon. I love Canon, but I shot a Nikon in film days, and Canon, Nikon.
Well,
Canon's better with ISO management and managing noise.
But it doesn't. The thing is that a DSLR is going to outperform a mirrorless or a cell phone in that regard. I mean, and so. Yeah, there is no like perfect camera that has like everything built into it.
Yeah, the new generation pro cameras have got incredible sensors, and you're not going to find that on a cell phone or a consumer camera, because you can shoot. I've shot pictures at 12,000 ISO, 25,000 ISO, and it's just incredible.
We're going to have a part 2 of this if any of the cameras are still going, and we'll see a part 2, and keep an eye out. We're going to be doing this in the future. Pretty much we're looking at a bunch of different episodes, all different topics photography related. See you real soon. And this is After Hours Photography. Photography After Hours, and big cheers. Scott's really far away. All right.